Good evening. Welcome to the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Board of Education regular public meeting. Today is August 25th, 2022. Mr. Jones, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bauer?
Here.
Mrs. Boroff?
Here.
Ms. Brody?
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell?
Here.
Ms. Sirianni? Ms. Williams? Ms. Winkler?
Here.
Mr. Murray? Dr. Kolakowski?
Here. Quorum is present. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Please join me in the salute to the flag. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Prior to coming out into public, we just held our executive session meeting, during which we met a new staff member, Kelly Dunstan. We discussed personnel, and we discussed our legal status report. Dr. Mast, Superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kolakowski. So, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a fun and restful summer break. We are hearing the marching band play, and we are seeing our sports teams practice. Tomorrow night is our first home football game of the season against North Plainfield, under the lights at 7 p.m. Everyone is invited to come and cheer on our Raiders. Hope to see you there. I am excited to see also that the COVID-19 numbers in New Jersey are trending down quickly every day. We are so excited to welcome your students back to a regular school year. We are also welcoming our new teachers next week for new teacher orientation. Thank you, Dr. McGarry, supervisors, and our administrative team for getting that ready. And thank you, Mr. Pertuco, on all the work your office has done on onboarding. How many people?
Approximately 70.
Approximately 70 people. So we have been working around the clock getting that work done. And we are also looking forward to welcoming our faculty. Some of them are here this evening, back on September 1st. And the first day for our students is going to be on September 7th.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mast. Mr. Jones, you have a business report?
Yes. So I just want to talk about a couple items on the agenda tonight in a little bit more detail. First one is our school expansion project. So on the agenda tonight we have some fees for our architects. So we're very early in the process. We did go up one section this year at the school. So in order to prepare for any potential enrollment increases, we've started the planning process. And, it'll be paid for by the capital reserve. I think that we have sufficient funding to go through the school expansion project with our capital reserve as we've moved to a sort of a break fix with our capital reserve spending over the past year. Second update, school lunch. So we've increased our lunch prices this year by 50 cents. And last year was a tough year for us. We lost, $200,000 in our lunch program. So very difficult. And I think some of the reasons why are, I think everybody knows food inflation is, food prices are up significantly. And I think in addition, shortages of employees, so wages have increased dramatically in that program. So at these levels, we're going to be very close to break even. And so we will revisit lunch prices, midway through the year and sort of see where we're at. So per statute, per law, we must have a break even lunch program. Okay. And just want to give an update on busing. So same as the bus passes, we have a new program. We're going to try to send out bus passes this year through email, which I'm very excited for, hopefully either tomorrow or Monday. I just want to talk about the subscription busing process. It's the same. We've done the same every year. This year is the same as all other years. The way it works is basically people send us requests for subscription busing. We put it on a list. Then we map our bus routes. We assess how much space we have, and then we assign busing as we have room for subscription busing. And we start with, any students that were there in the previous years, and then we sort of work from there. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yep.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the Board of Education offices located at 512 Cedar Street, Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and such notice was also provided in written notice and forwarded to the Union County Hawk, the Star Ledger, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, in the revised annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted April 28th, 2022. At this time, we're going to move to the instructional update, and we're going to discuss recognition of the County Teacher of the Year. Dr. Mast?
Yes, so in tonight's instructional update, we are celebrating a great honor that one of our teachers has brought to the district. Every year, we celebrate teachers from each school as Educators of the Year. From that recognition, teachers can go on to be recognized as the County Teacher of the Year. Teachers from all school districts throughout the county compete for this prestigious award. This year, I am honored to recognize Candace Tessa as a first grade teacher from McGinn Elementary School as the Union County Teacher of the Year. And Dr. Slocum, principal of McGinn, is here tonight to help us celebrate Candace Testa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mast and members of the Board of Education. What a night for a celebration. Not only are we coming back to school, but we have a lot of people here to celebrate our fabulous teacher, Mrs. Testa, including Angelo and Salvatore and John from her family. And we have so many other special guests. We have Abigail and Luke and Kyle from Mrs. Testa's former classes and their families, and we have so many McGinn and SPF teachers that came out to support Mrs. Testa. So we're just delighted. We are also touched and honored that we work with such an amazing colleague, and we're thrilled to have her. But we have a lot of words that some of her former students would like to share. So if Luke and Kyle could come up. Luke and Kyle, you want to come on up? And would it be easiest if they shared right here? What would be?
As long as they have the mic in, that's fine.
This is Kyle.
Turn around to the camera. That's it.
My name is Kyle. I am a student of Miss Testa. Miss Testa, congratulations for being the Teacher of the Year of the Union County. I really enjoyed her class. She teaches us math by playing games. When we do writing, we write stories. When I can't think of a topic, I ask Miss Testa. She always finds me a topic. She also helps me when I'm upset. She is the best teacher ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Luke, would you come up?
Hi, my name is Luke, and I was in Mrs. Testa's class last year. Of course, Mrs. Testa is Union County Teacher of the Year. She is the best. I am happy she got this award because she taught me so many things and let me make a very long number scroll. Mrs. Testa made school so fun, and I wanted to go every day. She is funny and smart and kind. I am lucky that she was my teacher. Congratulations. I miss you.
Thank you so much, Kyle. All right, so we have another student here who had a very nice thing to share about Mrs. Testa, so I'm just going to read it for her. Abigail shared that Mrs. Testa was the best teacher I have ever had. She taught me a lot of things, including second grade stuff, which I will always remember. She's the best. And for those of you who don't know, she's a first grade teacher. This comment also came from our former PTA president who couldn't be here this evening. She wrote, Mrs. Testa is so deserving of this award. Landon, her son, was in Mrs. Testa's first grade class during a very unique 1920 school year, and her passion and dedication to teaching was so evident from the start. She not only encouraged his love of school and learning, but also inspired him to begin writing, which is evident by stories and comic books that currently litter our home. He flourished in her classroom. She was also instrumental in helping us to obtain speech services for him, which have continued to today and helped him so greatly. Although the pandemic significantly changed the time Landon had in the classroom, with her that year, Mrs. Testa certainly had left her mark, and we are so grateful for her. Congratulations, Mrs. Testa.
Good evening, everyone. I'm overwhelmed and truly humbled to have been selected to receive the Union County Teacher of the Year Award. Thank you all so much for taking time out of these last few precious moments of summer to be here tonight to share the recognition with me. I can't tell you how much it means to me. I've spent my career of 20 years here in Scotch Plains-Fanwood, and I'm honored to have my work recognized by the New Jersey School Boards Association, the New Jersey Department of Education, and the New Jersey Education Association. I have shared a few times throughout these last few weeks that teaching isn't anything that I ever really actively decided to pursue. And I say this because in my mind, there was never really any other option of what I would do with my life. It was the easiest decision I've ever made. Because in my opinion, when you're a teacher, it's a part of you and it's ingrained in every fiber of who you are. As passionate as I am about my students and position, I know the same feeling resonates with my colleagues, and this accomplishment is not something that I did alone. And as a matter of fact, I wouldn't be the educator who I am today without their guidance, influence, and support through these years. I was blessed to have a phenomenal teachers both officially and unofficially mentor me as I went through my first few years. Ones who would take my panicked phone calls at 6:30 at night with newborns at home before I became a parent myself and realized what a mistake that was on my part. Ones who taught me how to navigate difficult conversations, how to balance the ever-demanding list of to-dos with limited time, and ultimately how to always, no matter what, look at each child for who they are and what they're capable of despite behaviors and challenges and limitations. My colleagues have been there for me professionally and personally through happy times in my life, as well as through the most challenging and painful ones too. Thank you. I don't have 3 minutes, so I'm going to go a little bit more. I also had the privilege to work under, in my opinion, two of the most respected and supportive principals in the field, Mr. Jeffrey Grisco and Dr. Sasha Slocum. Their leadership and respect of teachers and the students and families in their schools is unmatched. As you know, I've also served as the SPFBA president for the last 8 years, and this experience has been invaluable for me as an educator. It has taught me about leadership and communication, relationships with colleagues, as well as the community of which we serve. Most importantly, it has taught me about balance and how to advocate for my colleagues, which ultimately results in advocating for our students. This position has opened the door for a very unique relationship with our school board, and over the years we've worked to foster an environment of respect and collaboration, which is evident in the work you see day in and day out in our schools. Thank you to the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Board of Ed and to Dr. Mast for your respect and dedication. I'd also like to thank my family who are here tonight, my dad, who is by far the strongest person that I know, and who always reminds me when my job is a challenge to bring things back to Mrs. Moore, my own kindergarten teacher, who I aspire to be like each day. To my husband, John, who's grown accustomed to pausing the DVR so I can take a quick call or finish up an email, and who knows that basically September and June are survival mode for us, and that our house is never as clean and organized as it is in July and August. And of course, to my boys, Angelo and Salvatore. Thank you for sharing Mommy with all of my students, their parents, the teachers who need help sometimes, and to Dr. Mast on the phone. I love you both. Last but not least, thank you to my students and their families. When I have your children for the 10 months that I do, I think of your kids as my kids, and they hold a special place in my heart that I hope is seen in everything I do in the classroom. And thank you to each of you for this recognition. It's an honor to represent Scotch Plains-Fanwood as the Union County Teacher of the Year.
Before we take comments from the board, if Candace and everyone who's here to celebrate her could come to the
Dr.
front
Slocum and
so
the
we could-
readers,
so we could take a
your
picture in the front.
children, come on up. This is for you. Congratulations. Thank you for coming out.
Robert, could you
tonight.
take the picture?
We're gonna take a picture, so of all your, Sasha, come on up. Everybody with Mrs. Testa, come on up.
So I'm not the only one crying.
You're crying?
Thanks, Mrs. Testa.
I think so. I think we need the mob.
to support
Mrs. Testa.
The teachers.
Yeah, everyone who came out to support Ms. Testa.
The students spoke, they should come out. Yeah, well, your teachers.
Unless they don't want to.
Oh,
You're fine, it's about you.
I'm gonna get
Young
a
ones
picture.
can be at the head.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm sorry.
We have a stubborn one, sorry.
That's okay.
Look, I just looked. I was like, maybe, am I wrong? No, it's not. Yeah. That's disappointing. I'm not telling Ally.
No, but he's good too. He's good. He does little projects.
Congratulations.
He did that whole thing at the end of the year. Something I didn't go to. Yes.
I went to that one. Okay.
Yeah, he was involved in that.
Ally's none the wiser.
Mrs. Testa, we are truly honored that you are in our district and so proud that you were selected out of all the towns in Union County to be number one. And it's just so remarkable, and I'm so glad we were all able to come out tonight to celebrate you. It's an honor to have you at McGinn in our district, and I have no complete words because we're just so thrilled and honored. And that morning, I was watching the presentation to see you and you and all the other teachers that were honored. It is truly amazing. So thank you for being you. Any other board members with Mrs. Bauer?
I just wanted to highlight that I looked it up, and from what I could see online, the Outstanding Teacher Award started in 1998, and Candace is our first Scotch Plains-Fanwood recipient in Union County. So that's another testament to her and recognition that she's the first one. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Is there any other comments?
Just a huge congratulations and thank you.
So I had the pleasure of serving on the Union County Teacher of the Year Selection Committee, reviewing lots of applications from really gifted educators. And Candace, your application really rose to the top. And it was such a pleasure to see it rise to the top amongst other folks in the county who worked on the selection process. So kudos to you, and what a treasure you are here in SPF.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry. Is there another comment? Thank you.
So Mrs. Testa certainly is representative of the deep commitment that all of our teachers have in the district. She certainly is she leads by example, and she truly is always available to talk about teaching and learning. She advocates on the weekend, she advocates before school and after school, I have often had the opportunity to drive in the car as she was bringing her kids to school. But her level of commitment is impressive, but I must say it's not unusual. It is the way that our teachers in this district lean in to do the work and to serve the children and the families of our community. But I could not be prouder. As Mrs. Bauer said, this is the first time that the honor has risen to the county level, and it just makes all of us very proud for the district. So thank you, Candace, and thank you to all of our teachers.
So thanks for coming out tonight and giving up one of your nights, of the last nights of summer. So at this time, if you want to sneak out, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. If you don't want to, but you certainly are welcome. Congratulations, Mrs. Tessa. You're welcome. In accordance with the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Public School Bylaw 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please speak slowly and clearly by stating your full name and the town in which you reside when you come up to the podium. Please note, board members cannot respond regarding concerns of individual students or staff members. Such matters should be addressed with the superintendent's office. So if you'd like to make a public comment at this time, please come up to the podium, state your name and the town in which you reside.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline O'Donnell, and I live in Scotch Plains.
Thank you.
Thank you. My concern is regarding subscription busing, which I know Mr. Jones mentioned. My concern is when I moved to this town 2 years ago, upon the death of my husband, with my 3 daughters, it was our understanding that although we may not be zoned for busing, we could get subscription busing. So I made my purchase based on that. We moved during the pandemic. It obviously wasn't an issue initially. Then there was no subscription busing in 2020 going into 2021, and I was able to hire a woman who was out of work due to the pandemic. Fast forward to last year, I was able to get all 3 of my daughters on a subscription bus, thank God, to Terrell. Because I am a teacher, a special education teacher in New York City, I work in Brooklyn. I can't leave my job where I am because I provide the benefits and the income for my family. So I commute every day. I leave my house at 10 to 6 in the morning. Moving here was for their safety and for their health and well-being, and it's been amazing. My daughter with an IEP receives amazing services here in Scotch Plains, far beyond anything we ever received in New York City. So my experience has been amazing. My oldest daughter is going to high school this year. Not easy for me, but she's super excited, thank goodness. She's going to orientation tomorrow. Long story short, there's no guarantee that I can get her busing. So I reached out to the Ms. Rivera, who was able to find out from the town the route my daughter should walk, because there's no sidewalk between Seward Drive Avenue, I'm not sure, and Oxford Road. So she would have to walk on Lambert's Mill, where there's heavy traffic. So they gave me a different route. I walked it with her yesterday, exactly as it was described. It took us an hour and 1 minute on broken sidewalk, through back roads in the Parkwood community, went all around, crossing West Broad. I made her go into the intersection and I videoed her not being able to get across. Cars were not stopping. Finally, there was an opening, we went through. We walked on broken sidewalk that I could pretty much guarantee at 6:45 in the morning will not be shoveled. Let's be real, shit's gonna take her an hour. So that's not a possibility. What is she supposed to do in the pouring rain? I'm an educator. You're all obviously here because you believe in education and you want your students to learn. How can I send her in the pouring rain to walk? Now, I'm not asking for free busing. I want to make that clear. I'm not expecting anything. I'm willing to pay, but I was told that there just may not be subscription busing. They don't have the availability. They're short drivers. They're short buses. But what do I do with my kid? There's no public transportation. I'm not putting her in an Uber with some stranger that I don't know, that's not vetted, that I don't know their background. You know, ultimately, it's my job to protect my child, and I can't. So I'm beside myself about this. It took us an hour and 1 minute to get to the high school yesterday. We were exhausted. I don't have another option. There's no backup. I don't have any other family. I have no one that can help us. So what am I supposed to do? So I was told
3
today.
minutes, so please start your wrap up.
I'm sorry. I was told today that there was no guarantee that she would get subscription busing. I'm begging you to look at the community and the need. And I know that I was told today there was only 15 families that need subscription busing, but the Parkwood community just thinks that it's not available. So parents are like, I just go into work late, and I don't have that option. So I'm really asking you guys to consider the families that don't have any other option. Subscription busing is more important than you can ever imagine. And I just wanted you to hear my concerns about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm Erica Sholin. I live in Scotch Plains. I actually live a block around from Miss O'Donnell. My situation is similar but different. My children actually qualify for free busing to go to Terrell. So for my son who's still in Terrell, I do not have that issue this year. He will still get the busing. I am also an educator in New York City. Same situation. I have to leave. My children have to get themselves up and get to school. I do have a son who is going to high school. We live around the block from Miss O'Donnell. We do not qualify for free busing anymore for him, and we will not be grandfathered into anything. One, because we didn't have subscription busing, and two, because it's a new school. I also sent an email to Ms. Rodriguez, was given the same answer yesterday. There will not, her words were, there will not be subscription busing for anyone this year. And I am in the same boat. I am a single parent. There is nobody else. I do not have any other family members here. I don't mind my son taking his bike and taking the paths and doing whatever on regular days, but what am I going to do in the winter? How am I going to get him to school? What are the options? We have 4 children going to high school on my block alone this year. We were all free busing last year. We are nothing now. Those parents, half of them, the parents are home, so they're going to drive them. That's their option, and they are able to do it. They would also like the opportunity to not have to be going back and forth every morning and afternoon to pick up their children and have the subscription busing. We're not asking for free, but we're asking for you to please consider all the children south side and or children who are not that far but do not have paths to walk, sidewalks to walk, broken up sidewalks, things that are not going to be shoveled or taken care of at 6:30 in the morning. My street doesn't get plowed until 11 o'clock in the morning when it snows. How are they even going to get down my block? It's hard enough for them to get to the bus stop at the end of my block. So I know that for all that you have to deal with, and I am never, like, I understand how hard it is to navigate all of this and everything that goes into all of the decisions you make. But this isn't about me. It's not about Miss O'Donnell. It's not about the parents. It's about the children and getting them to school safely and getting them to school and having them wake up knowing that they can get to and from school without having to walk an hour in freezing, pouring rain or snow or whatever. And or I don't even know. It's so upsetting. I'm so nervous, and I don't know how to implore to you guys that how important this is. I know that you can't get drivers, and I know that the budget is not there. but somehow there has to be a way. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shelwan. Is there any other public comments?
Gary Morris, Fanwood.
Thank you.
One of my odd hobbies that I have is I serve on the green team in Fanwood. So I'm not going to say anything about all the single-use plastic here. I'm just, Christopher, you rock. I just have to say that, you know. But I wanted to use an example to illustrate the importance of opt-in versus opt-out. A couple of years ago, I was sitting in a restaurant, and I was like looking at the straw in my glass, and I'm like, you know, I don't drink out of a straw at home when I have a glass. Why am I doing it in a restaurant? So I said, you know what? From now on, I'm opting out. So when the waitress would come by, I would say, you know what? I don't need a straw. And my kids would make fun of me and whatever. But the problem with that was there were times where I would be distracted in a conversation with my family, or I might be in the bathroom and I'd land up with the straw. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to do the right thing here, but I landed up with the straw anyway. So now, as you know, you have to actually ask for a straw. You have to opt in to get a straw at a restaurant now. They've changed the law. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of people are doing what I was doing a couple of years ago, and they realize, hey, I could just drink out of this. It's not that big a deal, you know. And so it means much fewer straws are being given out. And so the whole thing is, when it comes to a curriculum, the whole point is a lot of people are not paying attention. And so you can't, if a child is exposed to something, you can't unring the bell. It's done, okay? And so it's super important that you keep that in mind, that not every single parent is going to be attending meetings and knowing about the curriculum and knowing about opting out. So rather than risk exposing a child to something that a parent might object to, why not make it opt-in? And this would force you to really communicate exactly what's being taught to see, hey, you know what? I think that's a useful thing for my child to learn, so I think that's good. Rather than, again, wasting all those straws on people who don't really need them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Any other public comment? There will be one other opportunity at the end of the meeting. Seeing no one, we'll close this portion of the meeting and move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports to be heard this evening? Mrs. Winkler?
Yeah, I have a curriculum committee report. So the curriculum committee met on August 16th. We discussed the AP statistics textbook adoption that you'll see in the agenda for tonight. The most recently used textbook was written in 2011 and aligned with the previous course framework. The course framework has been updated, and this new textbook is aligned with the updated coursework from 2020. 2 texts were considered, and the district selected Statistics 11th edition. The benefits are it's better organized and more coherent. It's more relevant to the AP exam. There are exam tips incorporated, on-the-spot reminders aligned with the exam. It's more accessible and reader-friendly, and it's easier to follow. More technology is incorporated, online practice tests, video library, and professional development videos for the teachers as well. The cost for a hardcover book plus the ebook is $195.96 per student for a total of $9,798. Then we also discussed the program of studies, something else you'll see in the agenda this evening, for elementary, 5th grade, and the middle schools for the 22-23 school year. There were only minor changes related to supervisory changes and alignment, programmatic changes, and some wording changes. And the board has received a full copy of the program of studies for review.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Are there any questions for Mrs. Winkler? Seeing none, thank you. Any other reports to be heard this evening?
I have a finance report.
Okay, go ahead, Mrs. Brody.
We met on the 15th of August, and we spoke about a lot of things. I'm just going to give you the highlights. We spoke about funding requests. A lot. This stuff is all on the agenda. We're going to upgrade custodial equipment and the auto repair equipment, and that will be coming from extraordinary aid. We are reordering another Ford van, which is replacing a canceled PO that we had ordered, and then the PO was canceled, so we have to redo that. That's also extraordinary aid. We are fixing some HVAC at the Terrell Middle School. That's coming out of Capital Reserve. There's roof repairs and drapery replacement that is coming from Maintenance Reserve. And what Christopher spoke about, the architect for the expansion project, which is coming out of Capital Reserve. We discussed this, the plans for the school expansion project that also Christopher had mentioned, the school lunch prices, which also Christopher had mentioned, and we just discussed some procedural board resolutions. The tech bid, that we resubmit that because the other buyers backed out. QPA threshold, that's the threshold for, I think, bids. Capital Reserve, an estimated movement. Paying bills between board meetings, the transportation bid for single session days, because it's difficult for the buses our own buses to handle when moving all the children around on a single session day. Takes tax payment revision, and it's all just basically a change in the payment schedule. And there was a right to know change, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what that was about. It was about the air quality vendor, I believe we were changing. And that is it.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Brody. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Brody? Seeing none, thank you. Any
Thank
other
you.
reports? If there's no other reports, we'll close that portion of the meeting, move on to letters to the board. 4 emails were received from the public, and the appropriate administrator responded. Superintendent's report, Dr. Mast?
So just real quick, and if the board members could, we have some people in the back that are struggling to hear, to try to speak in the mic as much as possible, that'd be great. It's okay. Just wanted to give an up. So part of our strategic plan is to look into transportation. So we have sort of looked at that. And one of the items we've looked at is, potentially doing, expanding the busing just for subscription busing. And we really, as a district, we can't, in order to expand our current bus fleet, it would be a significant investment. We don't have the space, the garage, the mechanics, the support people. But one thing we did look at is if we outsourced it to a bus company to do that. The difficult thing about it is that the cost of transportation over the past 2 years has increased by 60%. And a lot of the other areas that were done in the past, so in the past we had circles of parents who actually worked with our bus company independently to get subscription busing. Like a little community would try to get a bus, and they've done that in the past. The issue with that is that the bus companies have stopped doing that because of the bus driver shortages, and you can't. They had to get rid of that part of their business. So if we wanted to do a subscription busing bid, the cost for each student I would estimate would be approximately $2,500 per student for that busing, but it could be as high as $3,000 per student. And in addition to that, depending on how many students would opt in, the bus route would be long. So in order to keep costs down at $2,500 per, $3,000 per, we would have to cover a larger part of town. So for example, if it was at the high school, 8 o'clock start or so, the pickup potentially could be 6:30 in the morning to cover a significant amount of ground. So it is something that we, as part of the strategic plan of the next 3 years, we'll continue to look at. And we're hopeful that some of the shortages and supply chain, even buying buses takes up to a year right now. Hopefully some of that corrects itself, and it makes it a little bit easier to investigate and invest in those services. So,
Could you
Yeah.
speak to how people got subscription busing with available seats?
Yes. So the way in the past we've done the subscription busing, how you get the subscription busing, the placement, is really it's in order to. So there's a law that basically says your bus routes have to be as efficient as possible, and we get our auditor reviews it, and there's a county and a state report that comes out yearly, and you have to be within certain efficiency standards. In order to meet those efficiency standards, you have to reduce your bus stops. And so when we put through subscription busing, the way we allocate it, parents will reach out to us. We will put together a list, and then it's about we start what students are closest to that bus stop, and then we sort of move out from there in terms of the space that we have. And that's the best way we can do it. It's a difficult process for sure, but is sort of the best we can do in the environment we have right now. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
So moving to the superintendent's report, I'm going to read them in a block for the vote. So for 1S, it is for the school year 22-23, our out-of-district placements as listed. 2S is the approval of the superintendent's decisions on the 11 HIB cases discussed in executive session on June 23rd. 3S is the curriculum committee's recommendation for the AP statistics book, the practice of statistics. And 4S is authorizing the submission for a Brunner preschool special class and ESY for students as needed. 5S is to approve the listed field trips for the 22-23 school year. 6S is to affirm the submission of the comprehensive equity plan for 2019-22. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mast. Now, can I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. Any questions or comments before we vote? And it needs to be a roll call vote, because one of them, the 3S, needed a roll call, so we'll do them as a block, all with roll call. Mr. Jones, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Winkler,
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff,
Yes.
Ms. Bauer,
Yes.
Ms. Brody,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Mast. Personnel next.
Okay, so for personnel, I'm asking for the board to approve the recommendations that we discussed this evening in exec.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Jones, will you call the roll again, please?
Ms. Winkler,
Yes.
Ms. Brody,
Yes.
Ms. Bauer,
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, business report when you're ready.
Okay. So number 1 is the staff training. Number 2 is a settlement special education student. Number 3 is revised tax payments as requested by the municipality. Number 4 is a school security grant. So that is the referendum that was done, I believe 2020 or 2019, that was passed at the state level, and they're just sort of going through the process. This is finally getting the final approval for these funds. Number 5 is the right to know, which is the new vendor that Ms. Brody alluded to for our hazards and hazardous material and air quality. Number 6 is lease purchase that we at least purchase how we purchase all of our computers for the students. So this is dedicated funding. Then we go through a bid process for that. So approving that. Number 7. Number 7 is this is part of what I said in the beginning. We're doing break fix with a lot of our facilities. So we had some of our controls at Terrell went down. So this is a fix for that. Number 8 is what I referenced, the architect fees for the school expansion project. Number 9 is for roof repairs, again, break fix. Number 10 is standard resolution for our partnership with non-public schools for security and technology. Number 11 is related to that. It's a program being approved with one of the schools. Number 12 is additional funds for architect fees for Potter for school improvement projects such as drainage and some concrete work. And this is going in this is some work that we may not do for a year or so. I'm not sure if everybody's aware the DOE has had retirements and they're short-staffed, and so project approvals at the state take 6 to 9 months at this point, where they used to take a couple weeks. So we're sort of putting in our projects early. Let's see, next here. 13 is approving a public sale of our outdated iPads and other computer equipment. Number 14 is just required by law to put on the agenda, just the max amount we can charge for evaluations. Number 15 is professional development. Number 16, just giving me, allowing me to purchase items. Number 17 is just allocations we can allocate to our capital reserve. Number 18 is just so I can pay bills between meetings, so we don't pay late fees. 19 is to, as Ms. Brody mentioned, just transportation bid for single session days to alleviate some of the stress on our staff. So 20. 20, 21, and 22 are related. So 20 is for the ATRA, where we buy our custodial supplies. And that is whenever we go above the bid threshold, we have to put it on the agenda. This is a company that went through the bid process, and so these are the cheapest prices. But just because we use that, we use this ed data bid process, we have to put it on the agenda, sort of a standard procedure. 21 is the same for the equipment that Ms. Brody mentioned for our mechanics. And then 22 is just what we're purchasing from those two companies. 23 is some repairs to our blinds. 24 is the lunch prices I alluded to earlier. 25 is just some voided checks. 26 is related services vendors that we have to put on the agenda. Let's see, 27. Okay, 27 is a anti-bullying specialist that received their training over the summer. 28 is just standard. It's our federal grants we get every year. Just we have to get a board approval for them. 29 is our fire drills. 30 is our financial reports. 31 is account reconciliations. 32 is our bills list, and 33 is another special education settlement. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Is there any questions about any of the items he just went over? Seeing none, then can I have a motion for the business items discussed?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Is there a second?
Second.
Take your pick. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Any further discussion or question? Seeing none, Mr. Jones, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board policies?
Not at this
Not
time.
at this time, thank you. New board business? None at this time. Other board business, any liaison reports?
I'll jump in. I think I just want to mention CPAC to everyone, that just a reminder For everyone out there, that CPAG is the Special Education Parents Association group. Advocacy group. I'm so sorry. But I, along with Dr. Mass and a few other staff members, have been attending some meetings.
Dr. Rabimbis, too.
Dr. Rabimbis. Sorry, I have summer brain, but we, just so everybody is aware, there is a parent advisory group that you can reach out to your schools. Each school has a representative that meets, and the group comes together once a month to meet. And it's just a really great resource, especially if you're new to special education, to have other parents as your allies and to talk to and get advice from. So I don't recall when the next meeting is, but it is definitely coming up because it is monthly for sure. And you can find that on our website probably?
Yes, to add on.
Thank you.
CPAG really spent last year building, and they're really ready to launch some new structures. One is special ed parents will be receiving a nomination form to nominate people in different roles. And in addition to that, they've created a website that really will act as a hub of all significant information. They've also spent the summer really polishing some bylaws. So it's really just a new season for our CPAG. The district has had a CPAG for a very long time, but this is really a whole new effort. So we're excited about it. And that particular website and also the nomination opportunity, along with the bylaws, it will be blasted out to all of special ed parents. So people should keep an eye out for that. And the website will be linked to the district website, so you'll be able to access that information through that avenue.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Boroff and Dr. Mast. Any other information about the liaisons? Seeing none. 2 OBB, any requests to attend workshops? Seeing none. 3 OBB, move that the Board of Education adopts the following Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation Resolution, as well as 4 OBB, move that the Board of Education adopts the Latino and Hispanic Heritage Month Resolution. 5 OBB, move that the Board of Education adopts the following Arts and Education Resolution. 6 OBB, move that the Board of Education adopts the following Suicide Prevention Month Resolution. Can I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. Any question or discussion? All those in, you have a question?
I was just trying to see what month the suicide prevention was. It looks like it's September.
It's this month.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fine, thank you.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of minutes. We need approval for June 2nd, open agenda meeting executive session, and the regular session, June 7th, which was student recognition, June 23rd, regular public meeting executive session, and June 23rd, regular public meeting. So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. Any question or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, motion carries. This brings us to our second public comment portion. In accordance with the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Public School Bylaw 0164-0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments, maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent item, business function, and other board business will be heard first, and if time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please speak slowly and clearly and state your full name and town in which you reside when you come to the podium. Please note, board members cannot respond regarding concerns of individual students or staff members, and such matters should be addressed with the superintendent's office. So if you'd like to make a public comment, please come up to the podium at this time.
Hi, my name is John Greenblatt, Scotch Plains.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just had one brief question about the business items, especially 8-BUS. Is it normal practice to have to pay out of pocket for a proposal and I guess this is Mr. Jones's area of expertise, because I worked in IT consulting for a long time, and all our deal pursuits and proposals were kind of on the house. We were bidding against other companies to try to win new business, and it's just interesting. We never got paid for that. It was more of, if you want to win our business and our business allocation, you have to put your best proposal forward and try to win that new business. So it seems like a pretty significant amount of money to pay for a proposal. And that's all I had.
Answer? Nobody answer?
When we close this. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. When the comments close. Okay. Is there another public comment to be made at this time?
Hi, Gary Morris, Fanwood.
Thank you.
My wife, a few years back, she gave up her teaching job to attend school as an aide for a boy that's a quadriplegic. And I happened to run into him the other day, and I was talking to him. I said, I really wanted to know, like, what was your experience? Because he graduated from Scotch Plains-Fanwood the same year one of my sons did. And I said, was there accessibility issues? He goes, it was really good. And he said there was only one issue that he had, and that was he wanted to attend the Bible club after school, and he wasn't provided an aide to go to the Bible club. But if he wanted to go to the chess club, he would get an aide to go to the chess club. And I was like, why? I don't understand that. And I know you can't talk about specifics, but is there anything that prevents a child from having an aide provided to attend an extra? You're talking about a kid. He has not, below his neck, he can't move. This is his sport. This is his extracurricular activity. This means the world to this kid, okay? And his dad was able to take off work and come and take him to Bible club on occasion, but just because of the rigors of having your job, it was a very difficult thing for the family. When if he was going to the chess club, he would have been provided that. So out of curiosity, I went on the school website, and I was perusing through the list of clubs, and there's one missing. It's not listed. Is there a reason it's not listed? Are there other secret clubs that are out there that the kids can have the ability to go to that are not advertised? I don't understand what why that would not be officially listed as a club in the school. And I don't know if that's something anybody can answer, or I guess not. Is it something somebody could look into? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
We got the question.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Are there any other public comments to be made at this time? Seeing none, we'll close the portion. And Mr. Jones, you have a response about 8BUS?
Yeah, so I think it's just a wording issue that I think is a proposal. They're actually doing their proposal is for engineering services for the actual school expansion project. So this would include drawings, mapping, working, figuring out what types of hookups we need, like the full things in order to the beginning stages is actually executing the beginning stages of the project. So it's not just it's actual work. They're providing stuff for us. So yeah. Yeah.
What we were just discussing, because I'm filling in for my partner, is that we'll get back to you on it.
So there are specific reasons around the Bible Club, and I'd like the board attorney to make a comment on it. I'd like to refer to him, but it's a good question. So we will get back to you.
Thank you. Dr. Mast, and thank you, Mr. Jones. Our upcoming meetings are Wednesday, September 21st, for a regular public board meeting at 7:30 here in the Administrative Building. Then in October, we will be back to Thursdays, October 6th and 20th, for our open agenda meeting and our regular public meeting respectively, each at 7:30. Are there any remarks for the good of the order? Mrs. Bauer?
I just wanted to mention that there was a team from Scotch Plains that attended the Arts Integration Leadership Institute this summer. There were a lot of wonderful sessions and everything, and so Barbara Prestridge led that group. But I also wanted to mention it because I think often the public thinks that there's not much going on in the summer with teachers and educators and schools. And I think that just highlights, first of all, the staff went above and beyond. They just went because they wanted to learn. And I know our personnel report reflects all of the work, not only that our Human Resources Office did, but our principals and everyone else involved in searches and so forth. There was so much curriculum work that was done over the summer that I know Dr. McGarry was leading. So I just want to salute our staff. I know as a teacher how much time teachers spend reflecting on their past year and getting ready for the current year and what they're going to be doing. So I just wanted to say a hats off to everyone for all the work I know they've done in preparation for the upcoming school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Any other comments? Mrs. Mitchell?
I'd like to wish all the rising freshmen a very happy and informative and nice reunion tomorrow at orientation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell.
And I just want to highlight what a great start we had to our first board meeting of the season in celebration of Mrs. Testa. And it's such a testament to herself. My daughter was not, she had many wonderful teachers at McGinn, but she did not have Mrs. Testa. So I just sat along the side listening to my friends always say how wonderful of a teacher she was. But she said it herself, and it's such a testament to our admin and our district-wide teachers itself that we know that it's not just one person that we're celebrating, although it is very wonderful to have one person to celebrate. But we know, and as a parent, I know, that it is a group effort. So to all of our teachers and admin, I want to say thank you very much for being there for each other and for our kids, and then for all of our students returning back. A great big good luck and have fun. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. Anyone else?
I just want to say that I hope everyone had a wonderful summer. It's a pleasure to see everyone here again, and just excited, looking forward to the coming school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Okay, there's no more comments. I'll have to entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. Second, Mrs. Winkler. Any further question or discussion? Comment?
Ditto on the launching of the school year. We will be reporting out on some of the good things that Mrs. Bauer referenced regarding the work that has been done over the summer. At our next September board meeting, it'll be a report of all of the things that have been done and that we are rolling out. So I look forward to sharing all those details with you.
Thank you, Dr. Mass. So we've been motioned and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't think so. Motion carries. Good night, everyone.
And we're looking forward to art.
Art, definitely art.
I know, it was kind of weird.
The walls are bare in here.